Good afternoon, everyone. This is the next meeting where we're discussing the accessory residential units for backyards. Today, I'm going to look at the structural aspects, including the foundation, the walls, and the interior panels and roof ceiling systems. So we're looking at constructing a unit that would be on foundation piers. So to do that, you need a structural support, and I've shown here two I-beams on the long sides, and then cross supports with angle iron. And then you would use the height of the I-beams to put in your insulated floor. So we look at insulated panels. There are a variety available, but the idea is they have high R values for their thickness compared to batt insulation. So if the building code in Ontario requires an R31 for a floor, you can achieve that with two 4-inch SIPs, as they are referred to. So this would be a situation where we have a 16-foot wall, so 16-foot wide floor, and you would have two pieces of 4-inch by 8 feet to span the 16 inches. And this would typically give you an R36, or maybe a little more. Some are a little higher rated than others. Now for the walls and ceilings, you can use the same idea of the panels. In this case, we show a panel that would be supported by angle iron. It would go from the floor framing up to whatever would be the roof cross bracing. If we then look at the ceiling, again, we need an R31 in Ontario. And that would be, again, two SIPs, one on top of the other. Again, you would need the proper angle supports shown down here to hold the roof up, as well as the insulated panels. So what are these panels all about? First of all, they save you the problem of doing wood 2x4 or 2x6 framing and having wastage, because you have to buy the 2x4s in certain lengths and then trim them as required. So there is waste. These panels come to the size that you need without much modification. And instead of having 2x4s with rigid insulation on top, which is a code requirement, these are all rigid insulation with a skin on the front and back that meets the R value. And so this eliminates cross bridging or thermal bridging from the outside into the inside. So the first one we see is are the OSB, oriented strand board, or chipboard, as some people may call it. Two layers with the insulation in between, and then you have sheet steel, again with rigid insulation, and these come in various means. Some are colored for on both the exterior and interior. Some are ribbed and some are not. Some are just plain unfinished steel that could be painted or wallpapered. And then you have ones that are ribbed, as I mentioned, and that can be used either for walls or roofs. And then you could have angle steel with rigid insulation. So you see more of the foam instead of just the steel. So here on the left are some OSB insulated panels. So they obviously need a covering, a finished covering on the outside and the inside to protect against the elements and for the aesthetics. On the right is a 6-inch panel that is just sheet metal on the outside and inside. This has got just a plastic covering on it that when you peel it off, it just looks like regular sheet metal. Here's an example of building. This is more of a storage unit than a residential, but you can use these panels, and a lot of them have little tongue and groove sides, so they fit into one another. You can seal them for waterproofing. And then there's a different type of panel that can go on the roof. In this case, the electrical has just been allowed to be surface mounted on the inside, but a lot of times they will just cut holes into these panels and run conduit and do the electrical that way, and it's not much more expensive. So this shows on the bottom the panel that is the outside, kind of the ribbing design. And on the left, we see the inner face, which in this case is just a flat white. Now here's showing putting these panels up on a roof. This is a pitched roof, so you can have the slopes on either side, and then there's a ridge panel that goes on top that is sealed watertight and airtight and keeps out insects and animals. These are the panels that are not full steel on both surfaces. They use an angle iron approach where they save on the amount of steel. Now these are looking the same on the outside and inside, and they can be designed to accommodate windows, but they will then need to be covered both on the exterior and the inside. So the next video and presentation will be about the cost comparison of these systems and getting quotations on whether these can be factory assembled and delivered to site, or they can just ship the panels to be assembled one at a time on a site. Thank you for watching.